morning, everybody. Okay, so thank you very much, Ajay, for an insightful session on what the
Insight
technology.
है?
Insightful तो होना ही था. That was a good one. Yeah. So thank you very much for that. I think it gives, for a person like me, it gives me a lot more perspective about where the technology is headed. Uh, Let me tell you, when Repro came up with its first unit during the COVID times, and I was sharing this with Ajay, Rumi always used to tell me after, after he visited the press that I visited the Repro unit before he visited. Because it was COVID time, he could not travel. I was in Delhi and Rajiv invited me and I could see that. And I was very impressed by the technology movements there. But obviously, uh, first movers, great technology, a lot of changes coming in, which was explained by Ajay. I would, uh, I would like to draw everybody's attention because I see that the room is having more people from either the equipment supply side or from the printing fraternity. I would give you a perspective from a publisher's side, and my perspective would be slightly different from my colleagues from the industry, Ajay and Amit, because we are, we're playing only in one segment, unlike others. So we are only in the children's book space. And that makes it slightly more complex for an organization like us to think about a digital. And I'll explain you why. Because 70% of our catalog is four color. As the technology came in, and things have changed, and Ajay has promised me that now we have solution for four color too, but initially, four color books, there were not ready solutions available to go on print on demand and do a short run quantity because the cost used to never work out for us, right? Uh, as the technology came in, a lot of changes came in, and we publishers, often I always say, are a little slow to react to changes because we're very happy and comfortable in our zones, right? We know the offset, we know everything, we understand the minimum print runs, and we know everything, right? So it takes a while to get out of that comfort zone and see that there could be an opportunity in the short run. I would like to highlight some opportunities to this room so that everybody knows what could be the opportunity and how we, from the publishing fraternity, are looking towards it. Second thing, I would also throw up some challenges, which I believe still exist. And if they can be resolved, then we can move forward in a much faster way. I will also talk a bit about positioning. And last, I would talk about innovations, right? So these are the four segments that I've divided my talk into. First, let me make the mood good inside the room and tell you what the opportunity is, right? So we at Scholastic are looking at this in a big way on print on demand, and not just in India, but also globally. And I can tell you this because last couple of months we've been talking about, and we've put a task force together just to explore the opportunities on print on demand side for our global consumption, not just India consumption. So that tells you how serious we are, and these are three senior people in the organization alongside me who are on that committee, who are exploring all the options, right? So we are serious. Second thing, from my understanding, and for every publisher, there is at least 20% of the catalog which can straightforward move to print on demand. That's where I begin with, right? But more importantly, the opportunity is not just that 20% of the catalog moving into print on demand. I think if we position ourselves better, and when I say ourselves, not the publishers, you guys, the other side of the room, because I have to make it more insightful for you. I'm not working for Insight, by the way. Yeah, right? So more insightful for you. So 20% is the tail end of it. But to me, a larger opportunity lies when you are able to take a better part of the catalog into that print on demand technology, because end of the day, what we do not consider and what we do not bring on the table is the cost of warehousing, cost of counting and recounting, manpower involved in that, and the working capital that is logged in that, right? So that tells you that if a better solution is available, publishers would want to move a larger part of the catalog into the print on demand side, right? So intent is there. Partially, I would say understanding is also there. Why I say partially is because some bit of homework needs to be done at your end to come back to us and explain to us in a different way than what you've been explaining it so far, right? So opportunity is there and opportunity is big. Beyond this 50%, and 50 could easily go to 60, 70, 80, and that's like anybody's guess now, that 20% will always stay intact because that's where we make our money, right? And that would be all the best sellers which go in quantities which are huge, which will never move on to the print on demand as of now, as I suppose, right? So there is a lot of opportunity. Now, what is the big challenge? Big challenge for a children book publisher, as I told you right at the beginning, is because my 70% of the catalog is 4-color. Can you provide me a solution? If you guys, 70% of my catalog is 4-color. We do children's book, right? And there is a concept in the heads of everybody that, you know, children's book have to be 4-color, right? Yeah, so we've got a major run for the 20% of the catalog like everybody else, but 80% of that can still move on to print on demand, provided I have a better cost structure available, right? So eventually cost would play an important role, which Ajay tried to highlight that, you know, things are changing there. More important than cost or anything else, the biggest challenge that a publisher operates under is something which I term it as content privacy, right? It's when technology becomes cheaper, it can go to every press and it can multiply itself. The biggest challenge that comes is how, as a publisher, am I secured that my content, which is my IP, is not going to get compromised. And I think that's one area where you all will have to jointly work towards, because that's the missing link. Until the time that missing link is taken care of, it's difficult for a publisher to embrace this with open arms, with printers who are, according to Ajay, there will be many more printing presses going into digital. But how am I assured that my content is safe? We're already, as a publishing industry, we are already grappling with huge piracy issues. Will this technology give me those safeguards alongside the technology that I can move towards it? Or will it come without those safeguards that I will move away from it? I started working like everybody else with Repro and to a small extent with Manipal on print on demand, but majorly with Repro, because we audited all of those things and we were sure that we have no challenges on that front. Now, that's, to me, an important thing that needs to be resolved within this community, so that this business, if it can multiply 10x, it can go to that level. Because till the time we as publishers are sure about our content being safe, it would be difficult for us to move in a way that you want us to move there, right? So that is my biggest challenge. So I talked about the opportunities, I've talked about the challenges. Now let me talk about one thing about positioning, right? Some people feel that, you know, I'm very candid in the way I approach things, and I would try to remain the same way. I'll first put a joke on us, publisher community. Sorry, Ajay and Amit, if you do not like it. I always feel that publishers don't need anybody from outside to make life miserable for them. They are capable to make it themselves, right? Satya hai? Chalo, ek tarah se aa gaya. He's being non-committal. He's saying, I am penguin and I will not commit, right? So we do that. right? But let me tell you, now the second truth. ये अपने ऊपर जोक मार के अब आपके ऊपर मारूंगा, right? Printers play that same role very well. You guys don't need anybody from outside to kill you. You do it very well yourselves, right? Because, और अभी आपके साथ क्या हुआ है, शोले पिक्चर में वो थे ना, क्या नाम था हमारे संजीव कुमार जी, ठाकुर, तो आप लोगों ने रियलाइज नहीं किया कि आपके दोनों हाथ अजय जी काट चुके हैं। उन्होंने 3 पब्लिशर्स को यहाँ बिठा के, और भी होंगे सॉरी, ये बता दिया कि आपकी कॉस्ट बहुत डाउन है, आपकी 2 लाख पेपर आप निकाल देते हो 1 घंटे में, तो योर कॉस्टिंग हैज बीन रिवील्ड टू अस, राइट? एक इन्होंने बता दिया कि अब चाइनीज मशीन आ गई है, कॉस्ट कम हो गई है। दूसरा बता दिया कि इतने सारे पेपर आप छाप लोगे, और हम तीनों ने बैठ के यहाँ पे साइड में कैलकुलेशन कर लिया कि कितना हम आपको नेगोशिएट कर सकते हैं, राइट? सो आपके दोनों हाथ ये काट चुके हैं, और जो बचा कुचा है वो आप लोग खुद काट लोगे। And I'll tell you why. Because understand one thing, this is not a game. If this game has to be played well, it is not a purely a cost game. It's majorly a service game, right? And more presses coming in, more and more printers getting involved. Where does it lead to? We all know. We've seen that journey before. It will just be a replay of it. So I'll caution you against that, and that's where I want you guys to understand the positioning part of it. While we would try to negotiate the best cost, but remember one thing, there are 2 things that we need. One is the service, and second is that assurance that my content is safe. We cannot compromise on that. And that's where you need to play the game very well, right? So, and that's where the positioning would come, that, how often would you come down to us and talk about it? Because what I feel, even today, some of the printers who approach us for the print on demand, they come and talk to us about that small part of the business, of the titles which are in low demand and we are not able to print, and they say, you can service that business. So you would also have to up the game and talk about the whole locked up working capital situation, inventory situation, because all of us grapple under the inventory. So unless and until you up your own game and talk to us in the language that makes much more sense to us, if it can go to 10x, it will not go without that. So that's something that I would tell you, up your game and come and talk to us in that language, that we cannot refuse to move down the POD line, right? We've got enough business that can move to POD. It's somebody who has to come and prove to us that you can take it. That is what I would say, right? And a lot of work is happening, and a lot of things are being done. Last point that I would come down to is innovation. And I think that's an area where we miss out completely. We will just be looking at what part of the business can move from digital, existing business can move from digital to print on demand. But what about the things that one could not have thought about doing in the digital environment, which becomes open today? And there can be a lot of new innovations that we can think of as publishers, but you can come back to us as printers and tell us that there is a solution to that too. I'll use a small example. While so far, what percentage of our business has gone into print on demand? Very less, because we're going very slow on it, because we want to be very clear about the safeguards, right? But one of the big things that happened, and thanks to Repro, is this is just an example of a book, right? But this is a book which is an outcome of a program. Scholastic, during the COVID times, thought about a program called Writers Academy, where we worked with students who wanted to explore their interest in writing, right? We created a module, we created a structure, and we had people who could run those modules, and we got children excited about it, and children also explored their passion in writing with us, and they ended up with a story. The initial model that we had planned was that we will give them a e-book around it. Because obviously we all understand when children are going to write on it, this is an anthology of, this one in particular, 16 different authors, 16 stories in one book. The sales would not be there, right? So we cannot print, go to a typical offset example. We cannot print 1100 copies of it because it won't sell. So that was the reason when we conceptualized this program, we went ahead and said, a book would be available in an e-book format and would be available on Kindle. But think about a child who's written the story, unless and until he gets that book in his hand, he doesn't get that excitement, the same excitement from an e-book, right? And it's the parents, the bragging rights goes to the parents, right? So they also want some 5-10 copies to kind of, kind of stuff, right? So that cannot happen till the time it's a physical book. And that's where print on demand came in as a solution. That was an innovative business line that we were thinking of. And there can be many such examples. This is one. And a lot of times, what we miss out on is thinking of this whole new age segment from a myopic lens of how much of business can we replace from offset to digital, rather than thinking of what are the newer opportunities that I can create. And there's a lot more newer opportunities that one can think of alongside this kind of a program, which now become possible because of print on demand. Right? So I would encourage all present in the room to apply their minds on what more rather than only the replacement factor. That's how you grow the pie. Right? I think I have pretty much covered whatever I wanted to. Thank you so much. And if there are any, I leave the moderators to decide whether you want to do the question answers now or later. After everybody, right? Okay.
Perhaps once all the three have spoken, then we'll do a, yeah. You want to sit there or you want to? Okay, ठीक है.
तो आपके टाइम पे बैठ सकता हूँ.
Ajay का है. Just use the dice. This is working, huh? Good morning, everyone. So, I think you have given a very nice picture that how publishing is moving and what we are thinking, what are our expectations. So I'll just cover 2-3 points. One is like the whole landscape of publishing, what in different genres, different segments. And then what are the key growth factors at macro level, which is going to contribute, and then very specific challenges to like what publishers are expecting from the printers or downstream suppliers. And those challenges would be technical or business specific to segments like what HarperCollins does, that is trade publishing and school education. So in these three categories. So in terms of Indian publishing landscape, so as of now there are 24 to 25,000 publishers in India in various segments, and we are publishing 90,000 to 1 lakh titles a year. And but when we say publishing industry, then there is another segment to it, is which is distribution. So we also distribute lots of foreign titles which are not published in India but still being distributed, and that's also a very significant part of the print business. So when we say 90,000 to 100,000 titles in a year, so it converts to around, and if we add the distribution of the foreign titles in India, so easily this figure becomes 200,000 titles in a year. And for the digital printing point of view, it translates to around 40 to 60 billion pages, varied across in 4-color, 2-color, and various sizes and all. And just to give you a very high view, if we apply the right models, business models, and like it has been just said that right business models and looking for new opportunities, and in terms of increasing the top lines, bringing more titles and all that, easily these pages could become 1.5 trillion. So that translates to your business area. So this is the volume, I think, and it is a very back of the envelope calculation I just did. And in terms of publishing segments, so I think education is pretty much the leader, school education especially. And then we have trade publishing. Children and young adult is coming up a very separate segment because it has seen a tremendous growth. You were doing a pioneer work in that, so were others, but now HarperCollins is also coming up with a very good children's program. So I'm not endorsing that, but please buy books of HarperCollins. And then academic publishing. So that is there, and then religious publishing. So these are the 5 major segments, and professional publishing as well, like for lawyers, CAs, and all. So these are the segments we know, but how it is translating with what is happening in India at the macro level. So when we talk about key growth areas in terms of macro, so one, we know that we are the most populous country, but now with a 75 to 80% of literacy rate, which is a very good sign in terms of growth. Then we are second largest English-speaking population out of US. So it means English books or English. So why it is important? Because it means the products would be standardized. English language is a big one. So we have seen economies where the publishing is very fragmented because of different languages. In India, English is one of the largest. The vernacular is rising, but English is the mainstay. So in terms of standardization in digital printing, which is highly desired, that's why it is important. Then comes that India is 4th largest economy, soon going to be 3rd. And by 2047, God knows, we'll beat Mars as well. So, and then we are fastest growing. So fastest growing mean our population, especially younger population, and even people like in professions, different professions, they are aspiring to have more. So the society is becoming knowledge-based. So it means the professional publishing is growing. The need of that is also growing. And then one of the area which we have already seen in TVs, newspapers, and other entertainment areas, which is regional identities are becoming very stronger now. So earlier, Hindustan Times or Times of India used to have a very large circulation printed from Delhi or Mumbai hubs. But then came in 2000, early 2000 came the newspapers like Dainik Bhaskar, Jagran and all, and they started creating satellite editions of. So the regional identity became very stronger. So this is happening in publishing as well now, and I think we have a success there. It will be replicated here as well. So it means we might have again large number of SKUs with lower print runs. And then India is land of spirituality and all that, so religious publishing is taking a leap as well. So when we say these macro factors and how they are corresponding to different segments of publishing. Uh, Now, let's dive to the key challenges, what we together have as publishing, as printers, like what are the challenges we have and what are the opportunities as well. So, and it will be, so mostly it will be around trade and school education segment. Uh, Customization, especially in school education. So what we are seeing because of various regional identities, exclusivity in terms of business deals and all, we are seeing customization is on rise. Uh, Around 2% to 3% earlier in like pre-COVID. Now we are seeing almost 20% of the volumes we distribute have becoming in the customization range. So customization means smaller runs but exclusive, needs to be very exclusive for the customer. So that's a perfect business case for publishers, for our distributors, for our schools, and for the printers as well. So this customization, I think this is going to grow for various reasons. So that will sit very finely with digital printing area. And then one area which is also a big challenge and opportunity both, which is sampling. So sampling is it's a term used in school education business. On an average, every school education publisher, they give out free copies, which is like 5 to 10% or maybe 12% of their total sale volume as free copies for schools and institutes to look into and then prescribe. So this is, so now you can imagine this 5 to 10% is a very big number. And somehow, and these are free copies. It has to be controlled because it is a cost. So the usual model is to print, say, in bulk, and then make those copies sit in warehouse, and then start sending it to all schools or wherever it is required. School education being seasonal, so that's why the window is very small. So we have to be ready with the stocks all the time, and we have to, and it is similar to what happens in newspaper. If your newspaper delivery is late by 15, 20 minutes, the hawker won't wait. He'll take the other newspaper and go away. So the similar thing would happen in education. It happens in education. If your samples are delayed, I think you are out of competition, or maybe it will bring lots of stress. So you have to put extra efforts to retain that kind of business. So that's why just to so so the industry is striving for a fine balance that either to so 5 or 10% of the sampling is not a problem. It is about being effective. It is buying. So we don't. So the thing is here, our digital solutions could come in a picture, where we can have sort of a CRM model where each sales rep or school, they can order the samples as required, and we print and then the offshoot would be, one, we'll be printing as required, but at the same time we'll be knowing that where the sample is going and has that converted into sales or not. So that's a very very important thing for publisher, and it can be solved through. So it is. So see, it also gives us a big picture about that what digital printing would play. So digital printing is small part of it. The whole process is going to give a nice value and a very important information to the publishers, and I think that will bring efficiency. So sampling is an area, and then there is a big opportunity in terms of trade publishing. So I would put that in a phrase which is like many of you, like we do many of few, and which is like moving to few of many. So many of you means that we have a large gamut of uh, titles available with us. Not just what we publish, but what is coming from our distribution, our agency partners, or our head offices sitting outside India. So they have a very large catalog. But what we do is we choose few of them and try to print many copies of that, because that is what the model is, and then wait to sell those copies and all. So instead, what we can do is we can print few copies of many of those. We can bring the whole catalog here, and if we have the facility where we can actually print a single copy, supply a single copy to a customer, so maybe that particular title would need the whole requirement would be say 10 copies a year. Let's be very pessimistic about that. But even that is a very important figure when you see the catalog. The catalog is many folds. And it is not just a wishful thinking, it is actually, thanks to Repro, they have the data. We have exchanged that data. We have seen that the opportunity loss. And I think, and that data is not that they have got it, they have just like used the publicly available data from import shipping corporation of India's data and all that to see that how many books are being imported into India. So you can see the opportunity there. So if we increase the catalog, so that is an opportunity not only for the publishers, but also for this new arena we are thinking about. That may also solve a problem of inventory and obsolescence and all. So, and increasing the top line. See, like any business or the whole system, it has to be win-win for everybody. So like this area, I think if we successfully bring in the large catalog into India and then make the copies available to customers who require it and all, it will be good for us. It will cut the flap in publishing, what we are facing. Lots of cash is locked into inventory, that gets resolved. And then, and here we will have a nice business downstream for the printers as well. So we just covered the cash logged in inventory. I think I don't have to say anything about that. That has been discussed many times all over. So then there is a thing which is like you said about innovation. So innovation is actually required. So that might be a futuristic thing, but I think industry has to, the machine manufacturers, the technology people, and everybody has to start thinking about that. It is like digital printing or print on demand on short runs. They have so they give very good speed, accuracy, everything is there. And they can handle variable data printing, but they desire a very highly standard product line. So in case of trade, in case of young adult children book, and publishers as a publishers, we still want to retain the creativity, the exclusivity each book bring and all. Every author wants to have the book to look distinctive and all that. So in a highly standardized formats may work for segments like education and all, but trade, a little dampener. So I think so far digital printing have dealt with speed and issues of speed and accuracy, printing variable data, but I think it is time to see that can we handle variable specifications, retaining the speed, accuracy, and all other good things which digital brought in. So handling variable specification, I think it is a challenge which I'm throwing to everybody, including us as well. So that is one area. So that is a growth area. So it might not be very important to discuss. It is not, but the thing is, it will be soon required. The moment we cross, we'll have this, whatever the sanguine things we are talking about being big volumes and all that. Once we're there, then we'll start looking for, acha, ab kya karna hai aage? So that is I think that this idea would come there, that how can we handle variable specifications, paper stock, value-added operations like spot UV, foiling, embossing, and so on and so forth. And in last, post-COVID and especially last 2 years, what we have seen is this time-to-market concept has come home to publishing and especially trade publishing. Education is already seasonal, we know that. But even trade publishing is getting taste of what, like I have worked for newspaper in my initial years for 3 years. So what I knew that, so when I was in newspaper, 9/11 happened, and that happened in the evening. So we were about to print, we were in the way of printing our first edition. Everything got stopped. Yet, next day morning, we delivered the newspaper right on time. I don't know how these guys work. I worked there as well. So I've seen breakdowns, major breakdowns in machines as well. Yet the newspaper comes out at time. And if at all, ऐसा नहीं होता है, if something happens, I've seen people losing their jobs and all that. It's very critical. So I think publishing is also moving towards that. We have seen the publishing cycles have gone short. Now we are getting authors, I won't name them, but celebrity authors, they come up with launch date, no manuscript. They come with a launch date. This then I'll launch my book. So we tell them, okay, what is we'll decide what to write, when how, when we'll deliver the manuscript. So this is what is happening. And that's very important as well. And even if, so that's an extreme case, but even with the established authors and all, what we are seeing, the publishing cycle has shrunk. It's very, very short now. So we have to deliver very fast. Last year we published Ratan Tata. Replica is not here, but 3 days. We just got 3 days to print that 700 pages hardback book, and 3 days they delivered it. But it is putting lots of pressure. So we had to create that green corridor. Otherwise you can't do this like 100,000 copies in 3 days. But that's not scalable process. So time to market is very important. So I think digital printing would play a very important part there. We can reach market faster because there's always so in the business schools and all that, they always teach that if the conflict comes between schedule and quality, what would you do and all that. So obviously you have to put the schedule away. Quality has to be there. So the thing is, editorial quality, all other aspects in the publishing has to be taken care. Only production and technical features, they have to make space for the upstream functions. And then we know the predictable peaks in, so I'm on the topic of time to market only. So predictable peaks like season, education, then festivals, and so we always plan in a way that, okay, the education season, the sampling is for these 2 months and all, so how to prepare for. So that is a prepared thing. We come with a prepared list of things, how, when to, but it is very, so it has to be done in a timely manner. So this is predictable. Again, if we can shift everything to say print on demand or short run digital, we have more space there. We can have, so the thing is, in this predictable, or in any printing we do, whatever publishers give purchase order, it's always driven by some data, some logic and all that. And whenever we go to press with an idea, we always think that if we would have more time, we could have analyzed it better. So I think if printing can be done faster, we'll have more time to ideate, to analyze, and we'll have a better projection. And then we have, I'll just narrate 2 incidents. Rajnikant's movie came, I think it was Kabali, if I'm pronouncing it right. For the first scene, he was sitting in a jail cell and reading a book. So the reading the book, so the scene was only for 2-3 seconds. The book cover was visible for 2 seconds. So it was a HarperCollins book, published 10 years back. Um, we printed 2,000 copies, sold 500. 1,500 were lying with us. And after the movie, after that 2 second of fame, we we printed, I don't know, like how, we found it very difficult to manage. The demand was so huge, and initially, sorry, we were struggling to find the files. We never thought this title is dead and all. So that happened, and so these things are happening it has becoming norm. Other day, uh, suddenly in the parliament, okay, you can expect it from movies, you can expect it from social media influencers and all that. In parliament, something was, a hot topic was being discussed, and uh, PM Modi was asked to give comment. And he stood up and made my life tough. And he stood up and said, all these foreign policy matters, you should refer to the book JFK's Forgotten Years. And he sat down. And all the presses started working 24 into 7. The book started selling. So these spikes are unpredictable. How do we manage that? So sometimes it happens that the specifications are simpler, like a paperback. A Repro immediately comes into the picture, or any other digital printer. So here comes the problem, variable specifications. If Ratan Tata or this JFK's Forgotten Year, it is a hardback complex book with plate section and all that, then we just have to wait for our offset guys to come back with the stock and all that. And the problem is these unpredictable spikes, you never know when it is going to die down. So, so we have to have flexibility in the whole system or the whole chain to have these spikes, because these are smaller opportunities. But the way social media is being handled, it is not a gimmicky thing. These things are becoming, because we do social media campaigns, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the thing is, if it works, then suddenly we'll have spikes in the sales coming in to handle those peaks and all that. So that is very important. So that flexibility we require. I think the whole system has to work towards that. And Neeraj ji, you spoke about piracy and all. So I think speed to market, like many won't agree to that, but like what movies did, like last night we were discussing, like movies did. So now they don't wait for the films to go to every center and all that, leaking in between and all. They release simultaneously worldwide in like as many screens as they can, earn the break even, everything happens in 2 weeks, and uske baad whatever happens, then rights and all that. So it is like recovering so speed to market is very important. So I think that is another area where this technology can help. So apart from other various methods of dealing with piracy, so, and piracy pe we can have like a 1 month session. We will all have good stories to say, but no solution. So, okay. And then the data security we also touched upon. So data security is very important, and how I relate it to the increase of international catalog. The foreign publishers, because for publishers, we just have content, nothing else. So that is our only asset. So sending the whole data to a printer, it requires lots of courage actually. So the thing is, all the printers should work towards that. Like how do we ensure that? And it is not that it is very subjective thinking and ki acha, we have to reinvent the wheel. There are simple certifications, audits, ISO 27000 is there, and then all the publishers have their own cyber assessments and all that. So we encourage all printers to have those audits being done so that at least they are ready. And what I believe is, once a printer would have a large catalog of titles, so it'll become a very difficult thing for publisher to move. Offset may it is very easy. आप करोगे, आप करोगे, आप करोगे. So whoever says L1, चलो आपको भी पहले. But the thing is कि it will become a very strategic business. So you invest in these things cost. Cyber security and all these things would cost, but I think it will give returns as well. And then workflows, it is very important. The ordering process has to become much leaner as it is now. Mm, uh, so I don't know, but I think the some people I spoke to yesterday, the technology, so they are working on workflow solutions and all that, but that is highly desirable. We can't have multiple purchase orders being created and all. We have to, with all required accounting practices, still we have to have a process where we can order faster, so that it is like not spending too much time on like creating purchase orders, the system, and then sending it, and then, so it has to become leaner. So I think that is required. And then one small part is skill sets. So skill sets not in terms of technical, I think, which will involve industry and others, but also about being business, how to be innovative in business models and all. That is very important. So I think the skill sets would cover all the areas. And that's it, I think. So I think more than enough. This is so great. Thank you.
That was extremely enlightening and insightful, Dr. Saab. And Ajay, we would love to listen to you as well. Yeah.
Uh, can you hear me right?
Yeah.
It's always difficult to speak after two prominent people of the industry, and one being my mentor. I don't know how many people know it about. When I was a kid, he was my mentor in Scholastic. I joined Scholastic in 2005. Sorry? Ah. You got Ajay? Anyways, so thank you so much, Neeraj sir, Amit, for all the insights of the industry. I will try to cover most of the things in whatever given time, 15 minutes, and would take the questions when there's a Q&A round. My presentation is basically, about sustainability, because Ajay was telling that sustainability environment is not a thing need to be, considered. But I have a slight, you know, uh, deviation from that. Sustainability for Penguin Mouse is really critical and important. And for last 2.5 years, we have taken a lot of actions, decision, to make sure that our supply chain remains sustainable. And there are many, the first in the industry we have done to make sure that our supply chain is sustainable, being plastic neutral and then carbon emission, because our government policies is such that government first priority is to make sure that we are plastic neutral and then carbon neutral. So the same way the Penguin Red Mouse is following, and we are making sure that we are getting rid of the plastics from the supply chain first, and we'll make sure that we save on carbon emissions as well later. Yeah. So whatever we are doing is based on two things, two requirements. The first is from the author, which is obviously is because of them we are in the industry, and second is the consumer. So whatever we do, whatever our strategies, whatever our plans for next 5-10 years even, is on all basis on the authors and consumer specific and centric. So this is a survey which is done. It says a lot of things. The first is the sustainable products, and these are surveys which is available online. It says 3 out of 4 claim that they would rather choose product that do not damage plant and trees. And when I said that for last 2.5 years, we are making sure that our supply chain is sustainable, that was the first step we took, that how can we make sure that our majority of the material we use in supply chain is sustainable. So we started from the paper being the largest contributor in terms of the material of about 50 to 60% cost, and almost the same thing is in terms of the percentage. So we tried to tick this box first, and although most of the publishers are using FSC certified paper, which is environment friendly, but we went one step ahead and started using 100% recycled paper, and that too locally manufactured in India. And I would like to thank Vasant for that, because he was the one who actually was with me on this project. We started a long time back. And the first book we printed on 100% recycled, and that to FSC from Gobsons. And Gobsons still doing a lot of recycled paper printing for us. Although there are challenges on that, because that paper is not as good as most of the publishers use, which is Holman and so. The quality is not that good, but with every lot we are trying our best that how can we make sure that our paper, which is locally manufactured, is stay in competition with all these global industries. And Repro, again, I would like to thank, because Repro was the one who took a risk because of whatever money they must have invested on their machineries. And when I had a first discussion with Kunal and team, and even Rajiv ji, and they were very, they said, can we print this paper on this machine? Our machine is really expensive. And I said, we'll have to do something for the industry. And they agreed. And finally, we printed this paper on Repro's machine as well. Currently, 15% of our overall consumption is this paper, which is IKEA, 100% recycled Indian paper, and that too FSC certified. Second was certified products. That is again the survey, which says 2 out of 3 claim that they can help to protect forest by purchasing product certified independently. Correct? So this is again my own, every point I'm trying to make and cover is basis on the consumer requirement and the author's requirement. Third, the environment. This is again 80%, 8 out of 10 expressing concern about environmental sustainability, compared to 5 in the US and Germany. 8, I'm talking about India, this is India survey. 8 out of 10 people are more concerned on environment now, as compared to 5 out of 10 in Germany and US. So this is the basis that why digital will play a role for us, based on these specific 3 points. What Penguin Random House India is doing to make sure that our environment is safe, the quality is not compromised, authors are happy, consumer is happy. So this is first, packaging. Majority of the packaging material we use now in supply chain is either biodegradable or 100% recycled, be it plastic, be it strapping, and strapping anyways we got rid of a year back. I will cover that as well. Paper, as I said, 90% of our paper is consumed with FSC certified, and when I say 90%, because 10% is 4-color titles for us, because for us 4-color is very minimal business as compared to obviously Scholastic. Scholastic is huge in 4-color. So 4-color, obviously there are concerns on the cost and availability of FSC art paper, and majority of children books are printed on art paper, and sometimes you feel very difficult to find FSC certified recycled paper, and that too art. And hence I say 90% of our paper is FSC certified, and we are, as I said, we are gradually migrating to 100% recycled. So iCare, we already iCare is in the market, and every month we are discussing with the mill that how can we improve the quality of this paper. And the second, again, I'm working with a startup, which is IIT Delhi. And I'm closely working with him for November last year. I met him post Diwali, and this guy came to me that he said, I wanted to do something for Penguin Random House. So I said, okay, we'll discuss something. And he was doing segregation of cigarette butts. And he was using that cigarette butts to make soft toys and stationery paper and all. And I discussed that, can we do something for the publishing? Can we produce paper, manufacturing paper for a larger group? So he said, that is not my forte, and that is not the, and even the capacity, I don't have that capacity. And when we discussed that and we reached, certain mills in South, can we do something about it? And anyways, this is still confidential, I cannot talk much about it, but very soon we'll have a very good paper as compared to, Holman and so manufactured in India, and that 200% recycled. Now the digital. Digital production supports a more sustainable, obviously, Amit and Neeraj already covered that, why digital is needed to safer environment, faster turnaround time, lesser inventories and all. This I already covered. This is because when I say supply chain, this is about the warehouse, what we are doing in the warehouse to making sure everything is sustainable or environment friendly. And when I say we are doing it, because Penguin Random House, HarperCollins being, the largest, we are in the largest marketplace, and we are making sure that our product remains sustainable. And that is one way of adding value to your product, because see, otherwise everything is same. The content, the authors are same. Distribution channel is same for most of the publishers. It's not that Penguin is doing certain, different things in terms of distribution. The distribution remains the same what Scholastic, HarperCollins, or majority of the Indian publisher must be doing. So you'll have to add value to your product, and how can you do that? So this is what we tried to make sure that when an author comes to our warehouse, they visit our warehouse, our employees visit our warehouse, they see what we are doing in terms of sustainability and environment. And so when I say energy, 65% reduction in CO2 emission by replacing whatever, and we have, so we don't use plastic anymore in our packaging. Thanks to Sajid, we have installed Stelda 2 years back, and we were the first publisher in India to install Stelda, and we don't use tape, BOPP tape or strapping at all. Although we had, certain challenges from the transporters initially, that they could not, upload the cartons because there is no strap. But I said, sorry, you'll have to, because if I have handed over certain product to you in a certain quality, this is your responsibility that reaches the customer in the same quality. So this is your problem, not mine. Yeah. So this is very interesting slide, although covered by Amit and Neeraj. How can digital play a role in a sustainable supply chain for a publisher? So, although there are many points I could have covered, but these are main 4 pain points and the good points as well, that is making sure that we are sustainable and digital is playing a role. So, inventory levels, I'll tell you why. So, we deal with 275,000 SKUs, by the way, Penguin Random House. And out of 275,000 SKUs, 175,000 SKUs are active SKUs. And out of 175,000 SKUs, 56,000 SKUs are live inventory, which is sitting in the warehouse. And to make sure that your titles, the kind of volumes, and I was in IIM Kozhikode, I asked the professor of economics that how can we handle the demand planning for a publishing house? And he said, why? What is the problem? I said, 2 lakh plus SKUs, and to make sure your order fulfillment remains 95% plus, because this is what the expectation is from the market. And when you have Amazon, Flipkart, and many other online platforms have come in, everyone wants their product yesterday's basis, and not even tomorrow. How will you make sure that stocks are available all the time? And that's a challenge for me as in supply chain person. The response from that professor was, Ajay, sorry, I can't help there. Because not even car manufacturing parts are this much. How do you manage it? I said, we manage it. And even after that, there are complaints on the market that my book hasn't reached. Author will say my books are not available in the bookshelves, in the stores. So that was a challenge, and this is how digital, played a pivot role. And it's not today. We started our digital journey with Repro India only in 2008, 15, 16 years back, when there was no one even thinking about digital. And Repro was the first one with whom we sat and decided that we'll have to do something for digital. And then standardization came in the picture, that because at that time we were producing more than 15 sizes. Now we have only 4 sizes, because till the time you standardize your product line, you'll not be able to meet your fulfillment levels ever. This is how we started, and Repro and Manipal, obviously Repro started with us, and then Manipal is also playing a huge role in our digital business, because 15% of our overall print business is now digital. This started from 2%, 7, 8 years back. So slowly and gradually we are moving digital. 4-color, as Neeraj said, is a challenge, because 4-color cost doesn't work on digital. So inventory levels, what we do, so when I say 1,75,000 SKUs, even if your monthly sale is 100, say, I'm just taking a ballpark figure, and you have a 2-month stock holding, you'll have to keep the stock of a particular title for 2 months. So 1,75,000 multiplied by 100 multiplied by 2. This is your minimum stock level and your transit time. You'll have to keep buffer stock as well, correct? Which is your reorder level. So if my turnaround time is 20 days, I will have to keep 20 days inventory as well, along with my minimum stock levels. If I do that, my inventory levels in the warehouse goes beyond 10 million units, which is not practical, because my overall strength of the warehouse is 12 million. Correct? And this is how turnaround time play a major role. And most of the printers say, क्या फर्क पड़ता है turnaround time से 15 दिन की 20 दिन में चला गया, फर्क पड़ता है, because वो 5 दिन का स्टॉक हर पब्लिशर को स्टॉक रखना पड़ता है. और जब इसके यूज ज़्यादा होते हैं, it becomes in millions in our case. Correct? So a lot of challenges. What Neeraj and Amit said, that we'll have to, printer and publisher will have to react, treat, act like one team. You cannot be playing your own game. You'll have to play a team game for sure. We'll have to understand the pain points of the publisher, as well as we'll have to understand printer's pain point, which we try all the time. We sit with the printers every time we do our quarterly meetings with the printers, that what are the problems you have, can we do something for it? And the same way, we have some problems with the printer will say, okay, we will ask them that, can you change this? We are facing certain challenges. So this is how digital play a very, very important role in our case, and how we are making sure that out of 1.75 lakhs SKUs, and our inventory levels is not even 2.5 months, by the way, stock holding. Correct? And our order fulfillment to the market is 95% plus. This is for last 3 years. So it's because of all these, because of your support, because of, as a team we have achieved it. IWO, Neeraj is a finance guy, he can correct me there, but annually we dilute around 500 metric ton books. Can you believe that? And why? Why every publisher is pulping the stocks? We don't use in Penguin pulp, we use dilution, because it's demean the book, so we say dilution. So every year we do dilution of 500 metric ton. Why? Because of the offset versus digital. When you have these many SKUs, you will have to print additional stocks to make sure you are making your margins. For example, if you have a demand of, say, 600 copies, you cannot go digital, because digital is only viable at, digital has a threshold of 500 copies. After 500 copies, offset becomes economical. But offset 600 copies you cannot print. You'll have to print minimum 750, 800 or 1000. Whereas your demand is only 600. So you'll have to print 200 additional quantities. So 200 additional quantities, multiplication by number of SKUs, what will be the inventory levels? And hence, it goes into dilution. Correct? Digital play a pivot role again to make sure your industry have minimum dilutions, and again the environment, because paper emission, the more you use paper, obviously more your doing bad to the environment. Warehouse cost, obviously, it is interlinked inventory levels and warehouse cost, because the more you print, you will have to keep more stocks in the warehouse. You need more space in the warehouse. You will have to pay extra, although we have our own warehouse, but ultimately that's a cost for us. Time to market. This is a very, very interesting point. What is happening when I say consumer and author feedback? As I said, they want everything on a yesterday's basis. You'll have to reach your consumer, your market as fast as you can. And when we say bestseller events, so even bestsellers, we say front list and backlist in publishing technical terms. So front list is when you print first time any title, and the backlist is when the title is getting reprinted, after the first print. So if the first print was say 15,000, and suddenly there is a demand, you have consumed all your 15,000 copies. Suddenly there is a demand of 500, 600 immediate from a bookseller, from a store. You cannot print 600 copies of a front list title. Why? Because two reasons. The first, it will have post-press operations, UV, foiling, etc. Because most of the publishers do their post-press operation, the frills, what we say on the covers, only for the front list. When the title becomes a backlist, we have a flexibility there to get rid of these extra post-press operation, because it saves cost for us. But for the front list title, in the same month, if there is a reprint, you cannot print 500 copies on digital, because it has post-press operation. You'll have to, so there is no option you have. You'll have to wait to consolidate till the time it reaches 1,500, 2,000 copies. That means you are losing your orders in the market. And the author complains. If my book is selling, at this pace, why my books are not available in the stores? Correct? So ultimately we have two options. Either we print digital without any frills, or we consolidate and wait for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you have lost your sales. So this is lost sales opportunity. We have with digital, if digital can offer the same operations with their platform as well, which Neeraj has already spoken about. Can we do something as an innovation, which Repro has already started? Thanks to them. And majority of these kind of orders are getting printed at Repro, where we have frills on the cover. So this is about overall role of digital printing. Sorry. So this is the machine I was talking about. This is Stelda, and I would like. I'm sure I have 5 minutes, right? Sorry. How can we play it? Can you play it from there? So we don't use tapes. We don't use straps. This is biodegradable fillers. So this machine has a scanner, and every size of our carton has a QR code in it. The machine scans that QR code and adjusts it itself accordingly. So we save time. We've increased our strength as well. You can see the pile. And this is the last video I have. This is when we announced our 100% recycled Indian mint paper. This is our Instagram link, and I think how many thousands likes or views we had on this reel. Now, the last slide. This is, means what is the opportunity we have, as in, a lot of printers are sitting there. So this is not a exact figure, but this is what I could collate from different, data available online. So this is value terms, not volumes. So you can see the value, the increase of digital year on year. Currently, we are sitting in 2025, which is 28% in terms of value, offset versus digital. And we see by 2030, 40% of our value would be digital. And by the way, this is without consideration what Ajay has already explained, that if a threshold of current digital print, if this can go up, this 40% can be 60%, 70% as well, because that has not touched the market still as on today. And this is the point I'm discussing with all our printers, that how can we make sure that we increase our digital threshold quantity. Repro and Manipal, I'm announcing it here, they have already agreed to print up to 1,200 copies, the same rate they were offering offset. If that happens, and what Ajay has already explained, if that happens, this 40% can be 75% as well. Because current average print runs of publishing, it's playing around 2,000 to 3,000 copies. If digital can, do that, I'm sorry, but you don't need offset sheet fed. He was absolutely right in that. Actually, you don't need offset digital sheet feds. Because up to 3,000 copies, if digital is taken care of, you just need web for high print runs and digital. Because average print runs are not beyond 3,000, to very frank, in trade specific. I'm not talking about education. Amit can confirm that. So this is the scope. This is it. Thank you so much.